Imagine a world where the most sacred texts of a religion are not only different, but openly contradictory. What if the very words that millions of people believe to be divine truth were, in fact, a collection of diverse and often conflicting accounts? This is the reality of the Christian Gospels, the core texts that form the foundation of one of the world's largest and most influential religions. The existence of four distinct and sometimes contradictory versions of the life and teachings of Jesus Christ might seem strange, even problematic. But it is a fact that has been accepted by Christians for centuries. Why did the early church decide to canonize all four Gospels? And what does this tell us about the nature of Christian faith? The four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, are the primary sources for the life and teachings of Jesus Christ. Each Gospel offers a unique perspective, with different emphases, details, and even chronologies. For example, the birth narratives in Matthew and Luke are quite different, and the depiction of Jesus in John is distinctly different from the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Despite these differences, the early church chose to include all four Gospels in the New Testament, rather than harmonizing them into a single, unified account. This decision was not without its challenges. The diversity of the Gospels has led to centuries of debate and interpretation, with scholars and theologians working to reconcile the differences and extract a coherent message. Some have argued that this diversity is a weakness, a sign of human fallibility and the inability to capture a perfect, divine truth. However, many theologians and scholars see the plurality of the Gospels as a strength, a reflection of the complexity and depth of the Christian faith. One of the key arguments in favor of the plurality of the Gospels is that it prevents the reduction of the faith to a single, rigid interpretation. If the Church had chosen to harmonize the Gospels into one account, it would have created a single, authoritative version that could be used as a law to judge all other interpretations. This, as some theologians argue, would have stifled the freedom of the Spirit and the dynamic nature of Christian faith. Instead, the plurality of the Gospels ensures that the figure of Jesus remains open to interpretation, and that the faith can adapt to different contexts and times. This is not to say that the differences between the Gospels are merely superficial. The Gospels offer different theological perspectives, each emphasizing different aspects of Jesus' life and teachings. Matthew, for example, presents Jesus as the fulfillment of Jewish prophecy and the new Moses, while Luke emphasizes the universal nature of Jesus' message and the inclusion of the marginalized. John, on the other hand, portrays Jesus as the divine Word, the embodiment of God's presence in the world. These diverse perspectives reflect the diverse experiences and beliefs of the early Christian communities that produced the Gospels. The decision to include all four Gospels in the canon also reflects the early church's recognition of the importance of oral tradition. The stories and sayings of Jesus were passed down through generations before being written down, and this process of transmission allowed for the development of different versions and interpretations. The early church, in accepting the plurality of the Gospels, acknowledged that the truth of Jesus' life and teachings is not confined to a single, literal historical account, but is found in the diverse witness of the early Christian community. This approach is in contrast to the later harmonizations and attempts to create a single, unified account, such as Tatian's Diatesse Heron. While these harmonizations were useful for certain purposes, they also risked losing the richness and complexity of the original texts. The plurality of the Gospels, therefore, serves as a reminder that the Christian faith is not about adhering to a single, static interpretation, but about engaging with a living, dynamic tradition that continues to speak to new generations. The diversity of the Gospels also has implications for the broader Christian canon, including the Hebrew Scriptures, the Old Testament. The process of canonization, the selection of texts that would be considered authoritative and included in the Bible, was a complex and gradual one. For the Hebrew Scriptures, this process involved the recognition and acceptance of a set of texts that were already widely regarded as sacred by the Jewish community. The early Christian Church, in turn, adopted these texts as the foundation of its own canon, recognizing the continuity between the Jewish and Christian traditions. The Hebrew Scriptures, like the Gospels, reflect a diversity of voices and perspectives. The Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, provides the foundational laws and stories of the Jewish people, while the prophets offer a series of visions and messages that challenge and guide the community. The writings, including books like Psalms, Proverbs, and Job, explore the human condition and the relationship between God and humanity. This diversity within the Hebrew Scriptures mirrors the diversity of the Gospels, emphasizing the richness and complexity of the biblical tradition. The early Christian Church's decision to include all 4 Gospels in the canon and to recognize the Hebrew Scriptures as authoritative reflects a commitment to a faith that is both rooted in tradition and open to interpretation. The plurality of the Gospels and the Hebrew Scriptures serves as a reminder that the Christian faith is not a closed system, but a living tradition that continues to evolve and speak to new contexts. In conclusion, the diversity of the Gospels is both a challenge and a strength. It challenges us to engage with the complexities of the Christian tradition and to recognize the human element in the transmission of divine truth. It is a strength because it preserves the freedom of the Spirit and the dynamic nature of the faith, allowing it to remain relevant and meaningful in a changing world. The plurality of the Gospels is a testament to the richness and depth of the Christian faith, and it invites us to explore and engage with the diverse voices that have shaped it.